Hello, hello. Welcome to New Gameplay Today. I am your host, Wesley, and today we are joined by Game Informer's very own Brian Shea. How you doing?
Doing great, Wesley. Welcome to 2023.
I know, and we're bringing it in the new year with a big one. Probably, Nintendo's first big first-party release this year.
I mean, maybe one of the first major releases of this year, period. I mean, Nintendo was the ones that brought us Pokemon Legends Arceus pretty early in 2022, and it seems like they're kind of going to be the leaders of putting out major releases in 2023 as well.
It hurts my brain that Arceus came out in 2022 in January. That feels, I don't know, that just feels wrong.
It feels like a year ago.
Right? Yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of companies aim for February now, ever since Dying Light did way back in 2015, and now it seems Nintendo is claiming January as theirs.
It does seem that way.
But I'm all for it, and that is because, at least so far, between Arceus and now Fire Emblem Engage, I think that they're onto something. I'm about 11 hours into this game, and I'm having a really, really, really good time. What about you?
Really? Okay, I'm really glad to hear that. I am considerably earlier in Fire Emblem Engage, but I am also having a really good time. I've only done a few battles and I kind of walking around in the area a little bit, but other than that, it's very Fire Emblem in the sense of there's a lot of anime inspired events happening. I will say that. I think that we're safe to say that without spoiling anything.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the visuals it's a good looking game. All the strategy that you've come to expect from the Fire Emblem franchise is fully intact with Engage. There are some new mechanics that Wesley, if you'd like to talk about that, 'cause I'm sure you've experienced them more in depth than I have.
Yeah, so we just saw on screen, I used the Engage mechanic, which obviously is the game's namesake. But essentially, certain characters can wear or have emblem rings, and these emblem rings let them tap into the power and battlefield experience and almost like the soul, I guess you could say, of past Fire Emblem characters. So, for example, your main character, which could be a boy or a girl, protagonist, the Divine Dragon, has Marth in an Engage or in an emblem ring, and they can tap into Marth at any time and utilize his power. They get a special move. They can move farther on the map. And I've noticed that they're pretty, I have not died once when I'm engaged. So I don't know if it's because you're just not supposed to or what, but my character just completely dodges every attack when I have engaged to Marth in this
It does
instance.
seem like a very, very powerful tactic, right?
Yes, yeah. And I'm enjoying it a lot right now because it does kind of let you mop the floor with enemies, but I'm a little worried about the difficulty because of the Engage mechanic. Oh. I think in this battle I'm running 4 heroes with emblem rings, so that's 4 pretty much unstoppable tanks on the field, and one of them has a super awesome healing ability that lets you heal every single ally you have on the field pretty much to full health.
Wow.
And so I'm not necessarily feeling a lot of difficulty, but I'm not upset about it. I think the difficulty will ramp up soon based on where I'm heading in the story. But yeah, in these introductory battles, you are kind of just, at least in my instance, I'm steamrolling enemies. How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I've had one battle where I think one of my characters was starting to get a little low on health, but it wasn't a problem, I think it was just maybe I mismanaged something, or maybe it was supposed to go that way because of it's one of those scripted tutorial battles. But other than that, the Engage mechanic or the emblems and the Engage mechanic seem very powerful. It's good to see Marth pop up. Especially since I actually have more experience with Marth through Super Smash Brothers, which I think is the case for a lot of people these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm having a good time with it. I do think that the difficulty's got to ramp up at some point.
Yeah, so far where I'm at in the story, we're kind of just, I still sense we're in the beginning, but I think some drama's on the way, and I imagine that's where things are going to start to ramp up. I'm also doing pretty much all of the optional things, like the skirmish battles and lots of training and stuff. So I'm wondering if maybe I'm over leveling, but again, if that's in the game, if I have these optional battles, that's not really on me necessarily,
Yeah.
But
I
like,
do. You spent a decent amount of time with Fire Emblem Three Houses, correct?
yeah, about 80 plus hours.
Okay, that's more than a decent amount of time. How do the
Yeah.
visuals do you think compare to Fire Emblem Three Houses? 'Cause I know that had a lot of really great cutscenes and a lot of just beautiful visuals. And this game, I think, carries on that tradition. But how, in your estimation, does it compare? Because you put a lot more time into both of these games by this point.
Yeah, so visually, there's parts of this game I'm not like stunned by specifically. And funny enough, if you keep up with me and Brian's conversations, all things Nintendo, you know we've talked a lot about Pokemon lately. Some of like the world is lacking. Like in the immediate area, it looks pretty good, but like if you look beyond the actual, you know, where things are happening, trees are just like nothing, and like it's lacking in that department. But you know, unfortunately, I'm not necessarily like surprised that a Nintendo game has lacking visuals like that. But like cutscenes and the character art and yeah, even like the little battle scenes like this that play out, I think are visually stunning and at least on par with Three Houses, if not better. I'm due to dip back into Three Houses to see, but if memory holds up, then I would say this game looks as well, if not better, in most instances.
And I know we can't spoil anything really, but like, how do you feel about the narrative and like kind of the direction of the story when compared to something like Three Houses?
Yeah, so you can. I wrote a little bit about the story in my preview, which is now live on GameInformer.com. But this story is a lot more classic fantasy, and it's a little more. I don't want to say predictable, but like, it seems like a very just kind of basic fantasy story so far. Whereas Three Houses, I think, was super interesting, you know, because it dives into like religion and school and warring kingdoms, and there's twists and turns. And I'm sure we'll get twists and turns in this game. I mean, it's Fire Emblem. But yeah, so far, it's kind of just like, I don't know, you're a hero and you've got to save the day and find out what's wrong. The story is probably where I'm not sold the most so far, but I'm still enjoying it. It's just kind of rote.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like it's really treading any like major new grounds just yet. But again, you've played a lot more than I have of this. I'm only like a few hours in. So I definitely, it's disappointing that it hasn't really gone in any interesting or unpredictable directions as of yet with your playthrough. I was kind of hoping that it would pick up somewhat soon for me. But it seems like I still have a ways to go before we even have the potential to get to that.
Yeah, and I'm hoping it does, because like, I don't know, Three Houses was such a high bar for me, especially in storytelling. And especially because technically Three Houses is like 3 different stories, depending on which route you go. I have not seen any indication that there's different routes. And obviously you're not picking a school that determines your route. So I think this might just be a single playthrough kind of game. At least so far, it seems that way for me. So yeah, I'm really hoping that the story turns out to be a little more than what it is so far. But like, again, I'm not like upset or disappointed by the story. It's just kind of, you know, by the books. If you are familiar with fantasy and books or movies or games, then you kind of know what this is doing after the first hour.
And then how do you feel, kind of same question, but about like how the gameplay plays out versus Three Houses?
The gameplay is shockingly very similar to me, only because I played Three Houses. And this sounds negative, and it would be negative for any other game, but Three Houses to me was like a very checklisty game, but I played it that way. Like I would go do my battles on the world map and, you know, continue the story. And then when I came to check in at the monastery, I had like my routine. I would go check in with these people. I'd go give gifts. I would go do this and that. And I'm kind of already doing the same thing here at this primary hub, which is called Somniel. But that's how I like to play these games. I like to like make a routine of checking back in on the castle, you know, picking up the items that have been scattered around, doing support conversations, making meals. So I think that's on me, but that's how I like to play it. If you don't want to check into this castle too often, I have not seen any indication that you need to. And then obviously in the combat front, it is Fire Emblem through and through.
And can you pet the dog?
You cannot pet the dog, which is absurd to me, because you can adopt dogs and cats and birds and even sheep on like the battlefield after the combat on the battlefield, I should say. And then you can put them out in like your little pasture here at Somniel, and you can look at them and press A to make them do an action like the dog was barking, but you can't pet them. But, like that's a big miss. Come on,
It is.
Nintendo.
But at least you could do squats here. It looks like.
Yeah, we're about to do squats. This is so I don't know. It's really weird. It's slow, and it has my biggest number one mistake with rhythm games or rhythm anything is that these notes aren't timed to the music.
What?
It's so strange. Like you're just kind of doing it. I mean, it's really basic. You can see that you're not doing anything too wild here to begin with. But yeah, I do these before every big fight because you get, I think this one's going to give me +2 dexterity. You can do push-ups and you can also do sit-ups. And they're all kind of just little mini games. I mostly just wanted to highlight that these are here. And also you can see behind me, my little, I don't even know what it is. It's like a dog thing. I named mine Mickey after my dog, but he kind of just hangs out with you at Somniel. If you missed one, which I don't because I got perfect on all these, he would like assist you, which stops your score from being hurt. And then you can also pet him at the castle, and he like shoots out bond fragments, which help you raise bonds with your cohorts.
And he also has the same emo hair that you do.
Yeah, you can change his hair for sure, but naturally I just had to pick the same type of hair because it is my dog. But yeah, so that's a little taste of Fire Emblem Engage. Hope you enjoyed. I'm going to keep playing. Obviously, I will be doing the review for Game Informer, so keep an eye on that. And you'll probably hear us talk more about it on All Things Nintendo. Brian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, everyone.